fond and happy memories are the only thing that pop into my head whenever I think of Jeff Rosenstock's music. Worry was an instant hit for me back in 2016 and has been an album that has stuck with me for the entire time. It's never gotten worse to my ears. It's still as fantastic as ever, and really was such a massive decade highlight and a massive highlight for 2016 as well. A hugely significant year for me in music because it was such a time where I was really getting into music way more than I ever had. I was already into music in like 2013, but 2016 just hit differently. I think the quality of music was so intense that year that there was no other way I could view 2016 as such a fantastic time for music in my life and for the 2010s. But it's kind of weird thinking of Jeff Rosenstock's music in that positive light, because often his lyrics really don't read that way when you dig into what he's talking about and how he, you know, has these frantic, chaotic depictions of, you know, society at large. He just taps into that teenage-ish to like early 20s sort of worried mindset of life and where the hell you're gonna go and how your future is gonna look just so well. And it's become such a relatable thing for so many people of that era, I think. And that has been a part of his music this whole time, including on this new album from Jeff Rosenstock, coming out of nowhere, just like his last album did as well. We have No Dream here, and look, he's giving you exactly what you'd expect, and there's nothing wrong with that. Am I coming out of this album going, wow, I didn't expect that, wow, he's done something he's never done before? No, not at all, but he's playing to his strengths, and that's what's important, because he plays to these strengths so well that he really does blow out a lot of other pop punk bands completely out of the water. We will rush straight into it on the first track. There is just no holding back. It's just straight into the album. The frantic energy, the chaos begins instantaneously, and although the song does feel quite scant, it's pretty short, you just know exactly what you're going to get with the album from this track. It's such a great opening moment. Staring down the barrel of our shitty future is the standout line on the track Nike's Alt, which I just think is just a line that sums up Jeff Rosenstock's entire aesthetic perfectly. I think just that look into the future of where we're going to go, what we're going to do from here, how to improve things. We just have no idea what we're doing. We're just roaming through life, not having a frigging clue. It's lines like this and some of the song topics on this album that remind me heavily a lot of Spanish love songs from earlier this year with their Brave Faces Everyone album, which I think has probably been the best pop punk album I've heard all year without a doubt. And I just think a lot of the lyrics that we come across on this album do mirror a lot of what they were saying on their album there. The B&B track particularly depicting that little story at the beginning where he's kind of like telling someone, hey, you know, your mum's been renting out your house, you know, the person she married is gone. It's just like all of these things kind of crumbling. And although it's not particularly you know, a happy story to tell, and some of the lyrics on this album again just to kind of tap into those worrisome emotions, I think the way that he just pairs it with these power pop anthems does make for really enjoyable music. I mean, I instantly think of joy when I think of the album Worry, like I've said this already, and it is because of how he makes his songs. His vocals just power through. He just radiates so much passion with his vocals, and the songs are just like powering through with everything he's saying. They're climaxing, they're moving upwards, and you just can't deny how catchy they are. It's the exact same thing on this album here. That freak out session that ensues on No Dream as well is a nice moment. Probably could have tapped into a little bit more of that, to be fair, on this album. Just those really heavy, just like out of nowhere, just fiery moments that I do crave a little bit more. You have these punchy, straight to the point tracks as well that are pretty short. You get it on Monday at the Beach. I must admit though, these tracks, like specifically this one, I would say, feels a little bit like filler, which I wouldn't usually say about a Jeff Rosenstock song. But just lyrically listening to this track, I'm just not really entirely sure what it's adding. I guess maybe it's just sort of like, you know, while a lot of things may be going on, you can kind of look on the bright side and go, hey, this one day where it's a sunny day, let's hope it stays sunny all day. But it's kind of a little bit corny when you kind of pinpoint the specifics of the lyrics. Not a bad track by any means, but just feel like there's more in a Jeff Rosenstock than we're getting here. You know, I just kind of want a little bit more oomph to his tracks, something a bit more exciting. I just didn't really quite get that with this one. But then again, you get fantastic tracks like Fame being one of the best tracks on the whole thing. I do enjoy this one a lot from a lyrical standpoint too, just this idea of like fame kind of consuming you, which is how I'm interpreting it anyway. For me, this is easily the most anthemic track on the album, and saying that on a Jeff Rosenstock album honestly leaves room for you to say, well, actually it's this one, because generally his music is so anthemic. I just find the chorus on this track to be so impactful, and that line as well about lining up to watch you crash and burn. I just feel as though this is like the sort of mindset that you get with how the internet just becomes so obsessive over certain celebrities and so much certain famous people, and then, you know, that fame can kind of just be pulled from under the rug at any moment. You know, you could say or do something that's completely out of line and people are instantly just turning on you and ready to watch you fall apart. Not only that though, because fame can just tear you apart just through your own mental state by just completely, you know, letting everything consume you, other people's opinions consume you. I just feel like this track kind of attempts to tap into that idea a little bit. Maybe I'm interpreting it completely wrong, but even still, I think the track is great in its own right anyway. Another highlight for me is Honeymoon Ashtray. The friggin' whoa, just so bloody good. He's so good at this, man. He's just so good at just bringing this joyful music to life. Like he just has a way, this man. He just has a way. And I think generally a lot of what I'm saying here applies to most of the tracks. You know, there's just such a great energy to this album. It's really cool to see it come out of nowhere. I appreciate that Jeff keeps doing that with his releases, and you can just tell he cares a lot about music too. You know, he just cares so much for his craft and how he, you know, isn't that big of an artist. Like, he's popular, but he's not massive. You know, he could do with like promoting his albums to help get his name even further out there. But he's just like, nah, man, just drop it on Bandcamp, you know? Put it on Twitter and be like, hey guys, I've dropped an album. Here it is. Listen to it if you want. Like, he just doesn't care. He's so chill. I love that about him. There's just something about him that comes across as so genuine that I think it'll be so hard for me to ever say, you know, he's dropped a bad album. Like, it would be really difficult for me to ever say anything he puts out isn't good, because he just is such a likable artist. And I think this album here just demonstrates that really well. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10. I think it is a really good album. I think, you know, for Jeff Rosenstock fans, it's going to be pretty impressive. I think a lot of people might even like it more than I have here, but it's not to pull away from the album in any particular way. I think it is really strong, and you know, for me, it'll be really difficult to see him ever top Worry. I think a lot of people will feel the same about that as well, but even still, he's so consistent. Like, he again keeps dropping albums of this quality over and over again, and yeah, I have mad respect for Jeff. Jeff is a great talent. Thank you for watching my review. Hopefully you enjoyed what I had to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of this album here? And is your favourite also Worry? I feel as though you're probably going to say, yeah, my favourite is Worry, because a lot of people say that, and that's fine, because it's a fantastic album. But let me know your thoughts. Have a good day, and subscribe if you haven't, and goodbye.